Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Harrington. Tonight on the Now Bakersfield, Get Bus looking to give thanks to local veterans and active military. Plus, the Boys and Girls Club hosting an early trick-or-treating event this afternoon. And the horror movie legend tells us what Halloween is like now that he's off the big screen. That's all ahead on the Now Bakersfield. Annie?
Let's take our first look at today's lineup here on the Now. Restaurants, even coffee shops have figured out a way to get us to tip more. Maybe not even on purpose, but it's all psychological. And a look at a project to improve one community that's years in the making and the big impact it's had on so many lives. And we're also talking about salaries. Who should know what you make and what advantage does it really even have? We have some new information on that.
Well, attention all veterans. Get Bus is offering free rides to veterans during the month of November. Veterans and active duty members just show their ID before they get on a bus. This is the third year Get Bus is offering the deal. According to the company, they want to give back to the community and say thank you and felt this is the best way to do that. These free rides are happening through November 30th. And Operation Homefront will be taking 250 holiday meals to the families of Edwards Air Force Base next week on Wednesday, November 7th. The distribution is made possible through the annual Holiday Meals for Military program. The meal packs will include non-perishables as well as coupons. Distribution will take place on base. Families must register to participate, and we do have a link to do so on our website, turnto23.com. Elections are just around the corner, and we want to make sure you have everything you need to get ready to vote. You can find details on all of the propositions, ballot measures, polling places, and more right now on our website, turnto23.com. And then next Tuesday, November 6th, our election coverage begins with a special hour-long newscast from 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Immediately following that is a special edition of World News Tonight at 4:30. Then we'll have live updates both on air and online throughout the night beginning at 5. And of course, we're going to have a complete wrap up of Election Day on 23 ABC News at 11. Well, we've made it to Halloween, and there are still places you can go right now. One event is at the Track House in Central Bakersfield. The Now's Tori Cooper was hanging out there earlier this evening and has more details about the event. Tori?
Jessica, trick-or-treaters from all over Bakersfield made their way to the Track House Bakersfield to grab free candy, free toys, and a haunted house. Organizers say that the third annual Trunk or Treat event is a way to ensure everyone gets a chance to get in the Halloween spirit in a safe place where they can also show off their costume. And they say they will keep it alive as long as the community keeps showing up for something sweet.
We do provide a safe space, which is one of the things that you see here. All of our vendors are family friendly. You know, they all bring unopened bags of candy that are from the store. Same thing with the people who participate in the car scene as well.
Now, go-karting and arcade games were also available, and local vendors who attended also had a chance to showcase their items to the community. Many said they also plan to show up again next year and that they always look forward to seeing the friendly, decorated faces. The event runs until about 9 tonight, and make sure you stop by. For the Now Bakersfield, I'm Tori Cooper.
All right, Tori, thanks. Well, a few lucky kiddos got a head start on the candy roundup today. The Boys and Girls Club Armstrong Youth Center held their trunk or treat this afternoon. The after-school program hosted dozens of kids for carnival games, trick-or-treating, and dozens of other activities. One 9-year-old who was handing out candy has a message for kids trick-or-treating tonight.
Well, Halloween, you should know that to be very safe about it. Do not go in dark alleys because that is very unsafe.
All good tips there. And of course, if you're still looking for something to do, we have a complete list of everything Halloween related happening tonight, from parties to haunted house attractions and trunk or treats. It's all available right now on our website, turnto23.com. Annie?
If you bought a coffee or even got a quick bite to eat recently, you've probably been confronted by the new electronic payment screens and then noticed the tipping options at the very end of your transaction. Well, I actually looked into the psychology behind these new screens to see if you actually end up tipping more because of them. With everyone using plastic these days to buy food, no one has cash to put in the tip jar. That's why more and more companies are swapping out the tip jar for these custom tipping screens to get you to tip and tip well.
Back in the day before we had all this, I mean, you literally were exchanging cash and you had to figure it out, and people probably didn't figure it so well. It probably worked against the business.
Automatic tipping system, called Toast, says since 2017, quick service restaurants using their system have received tips on nearly 60% of credit card orders, compared to 28% previously.
The basic idea is to make it very easy for you, make it very convenient for you, and set an expectation that there's a norm that this is what's usually done here.
Dr. Kevin Masters says the psychology behind the process is to cause stress for customers, which makes them tip no matter how much they decide.
Where you're at a coffee shop, you're in a taxi, places like that, and you're giving this automatic tip, yeah, especially if there's a line behind you, there is a lot of pressure.
We all get to this point where there's no tip, custom tip, $1, $2, $3, and he's standing right there. It's a lot of pressure to know which one do I choose. If you think you're the only one who feels awkward in this situation, you're not alone. Nathan, the barista, says the feeling is mutual, but does believe he gets tipped more with automatic tipping screens.
Not only waiting for you, but you can almost feel like they're exactly watching you, even though maybe they're not.
Dr. Masters says it's all psychological, and the pressure you feel is real. But get used to it. These aren't going away anytime soon.
Most of us, I think, would rather just have it over with. And so if it costs me a few more cents on this cup of coffee, big deal.
Well, next in our lineup, the project to improve a community that's years in the making and the big impact it's had on so many lives. You're watching The Now.
cautious in how they handle credit limits. In trouble for GE, the company now says federal prosecutors have opened a criminal investigation into GE's accounting practices. GE has also slashed its dividend for the second time in a year. Facebook now says earnings growth is slowing down, and the company warns that'll likely continue for a while. Third quarter revenues came in lower than expected, and company officials say it is transforming its core businesses in ways that will mean slower growth and higher costs in the short term. More than 2 billion people use at least one of Facebook's products every day. When you are a horror movie legend, Halloween can be kind of rough. That's what Nightmare on Elm Street star Robert Englund recently said. He says Freddy Krueger fans know where he lives in Southern California, and some years they flock to his house.
So I kind of have to guard it now. I put some old, mom and pop video store stand-up Freddy's in the window, and I got some pumpkins out there, and I, stock up on peanut butter cups.
That is adorable. Englund recently guest starred on the Halloween episode of The Goldbergs, which you can stream now on the ABC app. Well, it is Halloween, a little chilly outside as we take a live look at downtown Bakersfield. 23 ABC's and the Now's Allison Gargaro taking weather on the road to safe Halloween.
I'm live at Safe Halloween at the Kern County Museum, and everyone is having so much fun this evening. Everyone dressed to impress. We've seen everywhere from the Flintstones to Pac-Man to a lot of witches hanging out around here. But thankfully, temperatures are just beautiful tonight, but they will be cooling down quickly. So this event goes on until 9 p.m. Temperatures will be down to the low 60s, even upper 50s. Here in Bakersfield, we had a high of 76 degrees, so that was warmer than what we were feeling this time yesterday, and temperatures are only going to continue to increase as we head into the rest of your work week as well as into the weekend. Air quality is going to be in the good range again tomorrow with an AQI of 46, but you can expect temperatures in the 80s starting tomorrow, continuing through Saturday, Sunday, as well as on Monday. And then it looks like as we head into the middle portion of next week, that's when we are going to be seeing sunny skies and temperatures just slightly down in the upper 70s, but we are still going to be above seasonal. Just a beautiful forecast in store.
With Election Day just 6 days away, it's important for everyone to get out and vote. But in the past 50 years, more women have cast their vote than men. This is according to research done by Rutgers University. There is one state, though, in America who understands the importance of the female vote, and I traveled there to find out. Wyoming. It is known as having wide open spaces, cowboys, even cattle. But did you know this is the first state that gave women the right to vote?
Oh, it was big news.
Big news it was back in 1870, 50 years before it was enacted into the Constitution. The woman suffragettes pushing for men to grant them equal rights.
We owe this act to men because obviously men were the only people who could pass such a law in the territory at the time.
According to Kim Viner, a docent for the Laramie Plains Museum, the men passed the act to allow women the right to vote and hold office in hopes it would bring more families to Wyoming and help the territory become a state.
Well, the very first woman who benefited, shall we say, from the Suffrage Act was Esther Hobart Morris,
the first female justice of peace. Now, Wyoming had many firsts for women. Also on the wall, the first female bailiff and governor. But it was Louisa Swain who changed the course of history.
You know, she was just a Quaker woman. She was 70 years old when she cast that first vote.
Mary Mountain, a docent at Wyoming's Woman's History House, says Swain was simply going into town to get her yeast when she cast her ballot.
She was not the fist-pounding suffragette saying we need these rights. But when the rights were afforded, she stepped up.
Not only did the suffragette women fight for the rights of women, but they had a few good men backing them.
It's a harsh thing, it sounds now, to say allowing them. But in those days, they were allowing them. These men were saying, let's let women do this.
Mountain says women forget their power until they are heard and believes today's political climate resembles so much of what took place nearly 150 years ago.
We fall into what is customary. You know, men for our 20th century were guiding the political scene. And we are now saying, I don't think that has to continue.
Who knew a quiet state like Wyoming could teach us lessons that transcend time?
Even in that small little environment, possibilities, these big possibilities exist.
Ben & Jerry's ice cream is the latest brand to take a political stand with their products. Here's a closer look at their new ice cream flavor. It's called Pecan Resist. It's part of the company's new campaign to, quote, lick injustice and create a more just and equitable nation. Ben & Jerry's plans on donating $25,000 to organizations that work on behalf of people of color. But this isn't the first time Ben & Jerry's has gone political. In 2009, Ben & Jerry's came out with its Hubby Hubby flavor to celebrate same-sex marriage in Vermont. And then in 2016, it came out with its Empower Mint flavor to promote voting rights. But other companies have also taken stances. Lyft pledged to donate money to the ACLU in response to the refugee ban. And some airlines have refused to fly immigrant children who were separated from their families at the border. But some are now questioning whether this type of social action even works. Marketing experts have a lot of different opinions on this, but research has shown that these things can subtly remind people of certain issues, but it won't necessarily inspire political action. All right, back to our lineup. When the Now continues, we're talking salaries. Who should know what you make and what advantage does it even have? We have some new information on that. Healthcare enrollment for the Affordable Care Act kicks off tomorrow, and if you plan to enroll soon, here's some things that you really do need to know. In most cases, you could see a lower monthly premium. Subsidies will also be lower. Insurers will also offer more plans to pick from. There are also more insurers for this upcoming year. If you need help signing up for the Obamacare, that will be a little bit harder to find because there's less money for the Navigator program, which helps people sign up for the coverage. Well, we just learned that 62% of jobs don't pay enough to support a middle-class lifestyle. But when you factor in cost of living, you really notice it. It may be time to ask for a raise or find something that pays better. But part of the problem is that we aren't that comfortable with talking about our salary. Fewer than 1 in 4 people say that they've told a coworker how much they make. And the less you make, the less comfortable you are with talking about it. Bankrate just releasing this survey showing we're starting to see a shift. They're saying that millennials are more likely to talk up to a friend or even a coworker about their salary. Bankrate experts tell us when you're ready to negotiate your salary, knowing how much colleagues make helps. But consider this. Do you trust the information? They could be fibbing to make themselves look a little bit better. A higher paid coworker may be justified because they have more experience or diverse background. But if you do learn that a coworker's salary, be careful not to treat them any different and not to change any of your work habits that could affect you negatively. But if you're not comfortable talking to current coworkers, try reaching out to a former colleague. You can also do research on websites like Glassdoor and even LinkedIn. Well, you've heard how the new tax law is going to impact you when you file your taxes this year, but you may not realize churches could also be facing a big bill. They're not used to either. So tomorrow on The Now, why they're worried donations will drop as well and how they're preparing now.
Coming up tonight on 23 ABC News at 11, we're checking out one Bakersfield house that's known for going all out. A mother explains why she's decided to create the extravagant haunted house. Plus, Kern County stepped up for Halloween this year. We're going to show you a recap of all of the spooky happenings going on around town today. Those stories and much more coming up tonight on 23 ABC News at 11. Let's take another check of our forecast for the week. Tomorrow is November. Can you believe it? November 1st tomorrow. We're warming right on up. Today was kind of chilly, but tomorrow we're looking at the 80s. And then Friday, we're up to 82, but that's where we're topping out. Saturday, we've got 81 degrees. And then Sunday, those clocks are falling backwards. Thankfully, we're gaining an hour's sleep just in time, but that means it's going to get dark earlier. So that's always a weird adjustment for us. But 81 degrees on the weekend, that's going to make for a pretty comfortable weekend. All the events that are happening around town. And then as we're looking into Monday, 80 degrees again. It's going to be a perfect day to get out and exercise or get out of the house and start your week off right. Going to Tuesday, Election Day, the big day for voting. We're going to have election coverage throughout the evening. 79 degrees. And then Wednesday, look at this little cooling off trend we have toward the end of the week. It's funny how it does that. Wednesday, we've got 78 degrees. And then Thursday, 77 degrees before we finally bottom out at 76 degrees. But check out this temperatures. I mean, these are really nothing that we can complain about at all. November is shaping up to look like a great temperature month. That's going to do it for us here on The Now Bakersfield. Hope to see you back here tonight at 11.